Hey everyone, it's Joel. Welcome to this installation guide for the assets that you just purchased from the 4Editors website. There's a lot of really good stuff in here, but it can be a little bit confusing if you haven't installed any of this stuff before. So I made these installation guides to make this process a lot easier and a lot more procedural, because what happens a lot of times is that people forget to install stuff. They don't know how, they go to something else, they forget that they didn't install it. So I'm going to make a couple suggestions about how to make this process easier and more efficient. Okay, so the first thing you need to know is that there are 5 different categories that we're going to be installing. First category is transitions. Second is LUTs. Then we have lower thirds and titles, and overlays, and sound effects. All these different categories have slightly different ways of installing them into Premiere. So we'll be getting into that. At this point, I should say that if my screen right now looks a little bit intimidating because you're on a Mac OS and you're like, oh great, this is going to be a PC tutorial, don't worry. I also made a Mac OS version that you can jump over to right now. Okay, so if you're with me on the PC, let's start. If you have just downloaded a bundle, could be any bundle from the 4Editors website, this will be probably in your downloads. You may have chose a different location for it, but I'll leave that up to you. What we want to do first is right-click on this zipped folder and go down to Extract All. So I'm going to hit Browse. There's about 8 gigabytes in this Platinum bundle, so I don't want to put this on the C drive. I'm actually going to put it on my D drive. You can put this wherever you want, but I just find it's nice to have this on a different drive from where I have my operating system and my programs. It's a little bit easier to manage and also improves my system's performance. So we'll go to the D drive, and I'm going to put this in my media assets folder. Again, you can put this wherever, and I'm going to hit extract. That's going to begin the extraction process. This is going to take a little bit, but you might see one of these error messages. Don't worry about this. This only applies to a couple effects. There's literally like thousands of effects in here. We're just missing a couple. This probably will actually be fixed in a couple of weeks from the time that I'm recording this. So if you don't see this error message, don't worry about it. What I'm going to do is click on Do This for all current items, and then hit Skip. And that's just going to go through the like 4 or 5 effects that have that error message on them. Okay, so this is going to take a few minutes. So I'm going to let this run, and I will see you on the other side. Okay, cool. So we just finished extracting that folder. So before we actually get into this folder, I'm actually going to go back and I'm going to go to the downloads. And I'm actually going to get rid of this zipped folder because now I have a copy. The zipped folder is not as big, but I don't need it. I don't need to have 2, one in my downloads and one on my D drive. So I'm just going to delete this zipped folder here, hit delete, and that's gone. So now we'll go back to the D drive, and now inside my D drive I have this brand new folder with all of the assets. I'm going to double click to open that up, and you can see there are a lot of different folders, and you can start to see some of the categories I was talking about earlier. We've got LUTs here, sound effects, transitions, but you might notice they're kind of out of order. They're not really grouped together very well. So this part is just the suggestion. You don't have to do this, but I find this is really helpful for a lot of people. So like I say, you can be really procedural about making sure you get all of your effects installed. What we're going to do is put these into their 5 different categories, and there is a 6th if you have some of the Lightroom presets thrown in, just as an extra. You may not have those. If you don't worry about it. But what we're going to do, start here, is we're going to go folder number 1. Transitions. By the way, I'm going right-click, new folder to create new folders. Folder 2. This will be LUTs. LUTS. Folder 3. I'm going to call this lower thirds / or dash titles. So folder 4. Overlays, folder 5, SFX for sound effects. Make sure I put the 5 on there. That they'll all be ordered up at the top. And then finally, if you have it, I'm just going to make a 6th folder and call this Lightroom. All right. So you can just follow along here as I sort these into the different folders that they're supposed to go into. Some of these are pretty self-explanatory, but others do require a little bit of explanation because they don't have like the word overlays by them or sound effects. So I'll tell you which ones go where. So I'm going to start here with Adobe plugin titles. That's going to go in titles. LUTs are going to go in LUTs. Cinematic sound library, going to be sound effects. Transitions bundle, drop that in there. Glitch presets goes inside of transitions. That one doesn't tell you, but that's where it goes. LUTs in LUTs, SFX in SFX. Lens flares and light leaks, these are overlays. Overlays are going to go in here. Modern X presets, I believe these are overlays as well. And you can always change the name of these if you want. Once you've downloaded them, you feel free to name them however you like. But I'm just going to put these in overlays. Movie titles in titles. Lower thirds and lower thirds. Transitions. Split frames. These are overlays as well. Tech art presets. These are also overlays. Put that in there. Lightroom presets. Those are our Lightroom. LUTs and LUTs. VHS retro bundle. These are all overlays, so we'll put those in there as well. This vintage film assets kind of breaks down into different categories. There's presets in here for overlays. There's also sound effects, and there's also LUTs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all 3 of these folders. By the way, I'm holding down Shift and click to select all 3 of them at the same time. Click on the first, click on the bottom one, click on the top one, holding down Shift and click. And then I'm going to drop these into the one folder up from here. Okay, and now I can break these into their different categories. So vintage film assets has nothing in it now because it's an empty folder. So I'm just going to hit delete on that. We'll put LUTs here, presets in overlays, and sound effects in sound effects. Okay, doesn't that feel a lot better? It's very organized now. So I'll have different tutorials for each of these different categories. That way we can just work through it 1 through 6 and make sure we don't miss anything or lose anything in the process of our long installation. This is a long installation, so you may want to grab a drink, get comfortable, put on some music, and we're just going to go through. I know for the creative types, you can be a little bit lazy and you just want to skip right into it. But I promise to get the most out of your 4 editors bundle, just turn on your Type A brain for a little bit and we'll get through this. So a couple other things. If you see any of these DS store files, this is just for Mac. It's pretty much a worthless file if you're on PC. So I'm just going to delete that. You'll probably find a lot of these in the different folders. So right now I'm in the Lightroom presets and I see DS store. I'll just get rid of it. No reason to keep that around. You'll probably find a lot more of these as you go through the folders. Again, just delete them. Don't worry about them. Or you can leave them. Either way. Another note for you. If you go inside of the sound effects folder, the cinematic sound library, you'll find that in folders 1 through 6, the sound effects are missing. They're just not there. From 9 to 13, that is also the case. There are no sound effects. This is a kind of a weird extraction / unzipping glitch that we've been running into on PC. If you're missing these, if this did happen to you, just send a message to 4 editors and they'll get you the folder that you need with all the sound effects in there. Basically what you'll do is just replace this cinematic sound library that's missing things with the one that you get from them. Okay, cool. Let's see if there's any other notes. I can't think of any. Okay, so if you've made it this far, hopefully you can see that doing some of this groundwork is going to be pretty helpful for doing the installation that we're going to be doing in the next videos, where I actually show you how to install the assets. Okay, see you there.